I just finished watching the weigh-in for Floyd Mayweather versus Marcus Maidana. Maidana tipped the scales at 146.5 and Mayweather tipped the scales at 146 bang on. So both guys have comfortably made the welterweight limit. Now, one thing that was interesting to me, and I mentioned this in the weigh-in video for Khan Collazo, is that the build heights of fighters are often not accurate. Sometimes they'll say a fighter is supposed to be 5'10 and he's really only 5'8. Or they'll say a guy is supposed to be 5'8 and he's really 5'10. So a lot of the time you never really find out how tall the guys are until they either get in the ring or you see them in the weigh-in. And interestingly, I actually noticed this at the press conference earlier in the week. But interestingly enough, Maidana is at least as tall as Floyd Mayweather, if not a bit taller, even though he's billed as being shorter than Floyd. That's interesting to me because I expected Maidana to be the shorter man. I certainly expected him to be the shorter man. In a lot of Maidana's fights, maybe most of his fights, he's actually the shorter guy. Look at him against Josecito Lopez. He was noticeably shorter. Look at him against Khan. He was definitely shorter than Khan. You know, several of his fights, or maybe the majority of the fights, against Jesus Soto Karass, he was noticeably shorter than Soto Karass. But against Floyd, he either looks the same height as Floyd or maybe slightly taller. And when I saw him at the press conference, I thought maybe he's just wearing some shoes with thick heels. You know, maybe he's wearing high heels like Angel Garcia accused Amir Khan of wearing. He said he was wearing high heels. Anyway, let me not get off topic. So it is a surprise to me that Maidana is that tall. Mayweather looked in tremendous condition. Paulie Malignaggi actually on the Showtime broadcast, which I watched, the live stream on YouTube, Paulie Malignaggi said that he doesn't believe that Floyd Mayweather really walks around at 147. And I also don't. I don't believe he walks around at 147. And I don't believe he gets in the ring at 147. I believe Floyd walks around in the 150s, possibly the high 150s. I think all this talk about Floyd walking around at 147 to 150, I think it's just propaganda from the Mayweather team and from Floyd himself to try and make his victories look even better than they are. Malignaggi pointed out that Floyd looked a bit dry at the weigh-in, but it has to be said, Floyd don't take a drink after he steps off the scale. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Paulie Malignaggi's wrong, but I suspect I'm not. I suspect Floyd does have to drain himself a little bit to get down to 147. Maybe not much, but I think a little bit. I don't think this guy is 147 pounds on fight night. And a lot of the time, I've noticed in recent years, Floyd won't allow them to weigh him on the night of the fight. That's one thing I've noticed. Anyway, I'm digressing, but physically, Mayweather looks a lot better than Maidana. That's expected. Maidana, since he's moved up to welterweight, looks quite soft around the middle. He don't look like a solid welterweight. And that's been the same in all of his fights. He looks a bit soft around the middle. He's not ripped like Floyd, and he's not even as... he doesn't look in as good a shape as he did when he was back down at 140. His body was a lot more solid down at 140. You look at him in the Khan fight, his body was a hell of a lot more solid than it is going into this fight with Floyd. So I actually think Floyd, in terms of muscle mass, he's probably got more muscle mass than Marcus Maidana, like even beneath Maidana's thin layer of fat. I think Floyd's probably the bigger guy in terms of muscle. And physical strength, I think Floyd will be very physically strong in the ring with Maidana. Floyd's a physically strong guy. He might not be the biggest welterweight in the world, but physically he's strong. The way he was able to hold off Shane Mosley when Mosley hurt him, that showed Floyd's physical strength. The guy's strong. And I think Maidana might be surprised by Floyd's physical strength as well. He's a strong guy and looked in tremendous condition. In terms of their demeanor, I thought that, Floyd was his usual self. People are looking at Floyd and thinking maybe this business with his ex-girlfriend is getting to Floyd's head a little bit. Floyd did allude to it in the post-weigh-in interview that he did with, I think it was with Jim Gray. And he said, I love pressure. And he was referring to the situation with his ex-girlfriend. He said, I love pressure. This is how I perform best. Some people are thinking this is going to get to Floyd. Other people like me don't think it will get to Floyd at all. Even if Maidana wins, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the pressure of the girlfriend got to Floyd. Nah, I just think if Maidana wins, he'll just be the better man on the night. Maybe his awkward style can get to Floyd. But Floyd looked himself to me for the most part. He looked confident. He was staring at Maidana. He was the usual Floyd Mayweather. Maidana to me looked a bit more pensive than Floyd, at least at the face-off and while they were on the podium. But after that, I thought Maidana looked very calm and looked his usual self. Maidana normally does look very calm. There's very few fights where he looks anxious before the opening bell or even at the weigh-in. Normally he looks very calm and very placid and chilled out. And for the most part, he looked like that. But while they were on stage weighing in, I thought he looked more tense than Floyd. Maybe the magnitude of the event, maybe just slightly get into him a little bit. But again, different people are going to have different interpretations. That's just my interpretation. If you disagree, drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know how you feel. Yeah, so let me know what you think about the weigh-in if you watched it and your analysis of it. This is Hatman, I'm out.